The orbital station New Horizon hung in space like a giant steel spider, its solar arrays extended like gossamer limbs catching the light of Proxima Centauri. For the past decade, it had served as humanity's most advanced research outpost and the pride of Earth's space exploration initiative. Today, however, it was eerily silent. In her office on Earth, Dr. Eris Thorne stared at the incoming data packets with growing concern. The environmental readings from New Horizon were fluctuating wildly, radiation levels spiking, then dropping, then spiking again. Communications had gone dark 4 hours ago, and the emergency protocols had kicked in, sending automated telemetry back to Earth. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, pushing a strand of silver-streaked black hair from her face. A physicist by training, Thorne had helped design New Horizon's safety systems. They were redundant, foolproof. A catastrophic failure should have been impossible. Her secure line chimed. "Thorne," she answered without taking her eyes off the screen. "Dr. Thorne, this is General Sharma. I assume you're seeing what I'm seeing." Anya Sharma, commander of Earth's Unified Defense Force, was not one for pleasantries. Her voice carried the weight of steel. "I am," Thorne replied, "but I don't understand it. These readings suggest a reactor breach, but that's impossible with our containment systems. Impossible or not, we've lost contact with 376 personnel." The general's voice remained steady, but Thorne could hear the tension beneath. "I've dispatched an emergency response team. ETA, 12 hours. I want you on it." "Me? I'm not a first responder." "No, but you designed half the systems on that station. If anyone can figure out what happened, it's you." There was a pause. "And Dr. Thorne, we've detected unusual energy signatures just before communications failed. Signatures that don't match any known human technology." Thorne felt her blood run cold. 2 years ago, humanity had received incontrovertible proof that we were not alone in the galaxy. The existence of the Galactic Council, a loose federation of spacefaring civilizations, had been confirmed following a series of unmistakable signals and, eventually, a brief, formal contact. The relationship since then had been distant, cautious. The Council had established no official diplomatic ties, choosing instead to observe Earth from afar. "You think the Council was involved?" Thorne asked. "I don't know," Sharma replied, "but I intend to find out. Transport leaves in 2 hours. Be on it." The call ended, leaving Thorne staring at the data again, this time with new eyes. If this wasn't an accident, on the other side of the planet, in Geneva, Alara Vance was being briefed on the same situation. At 32, she was the youngest diplomat ever appointed to Earth's Extraterrestrial Relations Division, a department that had existed for barely 18 months. "We have no official channels to contact the Council," her superior was saying, his face grave. "But given the nature of this incident, we need to establish communication immediately." "Sir, with all due respect, we don't know that they're involved," Alara countered. "No, we don't. But if they are, we need to understand why. And if they aren't, we need their assistance." 376 lives, Vance. The best minds Earth has to offer. Alara nodded, her throat tight. "I'll use the frequency they provided for emergencies." "Do it." "And Vance? Tread carefully. We're still the newcomers here." As humanity grappled with the disaster, across the stars, in a chamber adorned with the trophies of 1,000 conquered worlds, Warlord Skarn of the KRYLL Dominion watched with satisfaction as holographic displays showed the aftermath of what humans would soon call the New Horizon Massacre. "The experiment yielded fascinating results," said a smaller KRYLL, its scales gleaming dully in the chamber's low light. "Their shielding technology was more resilient than we anticipated." Skarn's massive form shifted, membranous wings folding tighter against his armored back. "And the evidence? Eliminated. The radiation surge would have corrupted all their sensors and data storage. They will find nothing but a terrible accident. And the survivors?" The subordinate hesitated. 17 escaped in emergency pods. "We could not intercept all of them without revealing ourselves." Skarn's eyes narrowed, pupils contracting to vertical slits. "A complication, but a minor one. The humans are primitive. Even if the survivors suspect something, they cannot prove it. The council will dismiss their claims as the ravings of a traumatized, paranoid species. And if they bring their suspicions to the moderates? To Elder View or the Flirtnoth? Skarn's mouth stretched in what passed for a smile among the KRYLL, a display of razor-sharp teeth. Then we discredit them. The View are too cautious to act on suspicion alone, and the Noth are too fragmented to pose a unified challenge. He rose, towering over his subordinate. The humans possess resources we need on planets they haven't even begun to exploit. Their technological development is accelerating faster than any species we've encountered. Left unchecked, they could become a threat within a century. His claws clicked against the metallic floor. Better to establish dominance now, while they're still confined to their little corner of the galaxy. What Skarn didn't know, what the proud KRYLL Dominion, with all its advanced technology, had failed to anticipate, was that humans had installed experimental quantum-entangled communication devices on New Horizon. Devices that transmitted data instantaneously, regardless of distance, unaffected by radiation or conventional jamming. Devices that had recorded everything. The rescue vessel carrying Dr. Thorne arrived at the remains of New Horizon 14 hours after the incident. The once proud station was now a twisted wreck, with entire sections sheared away, revealing the dark void of space beyond. Emergency lights blinked weakly, like the faltering heartbeat of a dying creature. "My God," Thorne whispered, staring through the viewport. No ordinary reactor breach could have done this. The damage pattern was wrong, concentrated in specific areas rather than radiating outward from the core. The rescue team worked tirelessly, searching for survivors and retrieving bodies. Of the 17 who had escaped in pods, only 11 had survived. They were in shock, barely coherent, but one thing was consistent in their scattered testimonies: strange lights, unusual sounds, and the sensation of being watched just before the disaster. While the rescue operation continued, Thorne made her way to what remained of the main computer core. If any data had survived, it would be here. The room was in shambles, equipment fused and melted, but the core itself, housed in a specially reinforced chamber, appeared largely intact. "Let's see what you can tell us," she murmured, connecting her portable analysis unit. Hours later, back on the rescue vessel, Thorne stared at her findings in disbelief. The core had indeed survived, and what it revealed changed everything. The quantum communication log showed clear evidence of external intervention. Energy weapons of a type unknown to human science, deployed with surgical precision to target critical systems. But more damning still were the sensor readings that had automatically activated when the attack began. They had captured images, grainy and distorted, but unmistakable, of ships with an architecture unlike anything in Earth's database. Ships that matched fragments of designs glimpsed in the Council's initial contact messages. With shaking hands, Thorne secured the data and sent an encrypted transmission to General Sharma. This was no accident. This was an attack, and the evidence pointed directly at the Galactic Council, or at least elements within it. On Earth, Ilara Vance's attempts to establish emergency contact with the Council had been met with silence. After 48 hours without response, she had taken a different approach, reaching out to unofficial channels. Alien traders who occasionally operated on the fringes of Earth's solar system, and who might have connections to the more modern council members. When a response finally came, it was not what she had expected. A message from a being identifying itself as Flirtnoth, a name she recognized from briefing materials as belonging to a species known for its diplomatic role within the council. Human Vance, the message read, translated through Earth's still rudimentary alien language interface. Your distress signal received with concern. Be advised. Communication dangerous. Council in turmoil. The KRYLL move without sanction. Evidence exists, but suppressed. Seek the truth carefully. The message ended abruptly, with no way to respond. Ilara immediately forwarded it to her superiors and to General Sharma's office. It wasn't much, but it confirmed their suspicions. Some faction within the council was responsible, and others were aware but unable or unwilling to intervene openly. As the first week after the disaster passed, Earth was gripped by mourning and confusion. Official statements remained vague, citing an ongoing investigation into the station failure. But rumors spread, fueled by the surviving crew members' testimonies and leaks from within the investigation. General Sharma had established a secret task force, combining military intelligence with scientific expertise. Dr. Thorne led the technical analysis, poring over the recovered data and working to understand the weapons that had been used against New Horizon. "The precision is what strikes me," she explained during a secured briefing. "They knew exactly where to hit us to cause maximum damage while minimizing the evidence. This wasn't random violence, it was calculated." "A test," Sharma suggested, her uniform immaculate despite the sleepless nights evident in her eyes. "They wanted to see how we'd respond." "Or a message," added Alara, who had been brought into the task force for her diplomatic insights. "A demonstration of power." An older man at the end of the table cleared his throat. Ambassador Richard Kelly, a veteran diplomat who had advocated for cautious engagement with the Council since first contact. "Whatever their motives, we must respond with restraint. The Council encompasses dozens of civilizations, many of which likely had no knowledge of this attack. If we react hastily, we risk alienating potential allies." Sharma's expression hardened. 365 people died, Ambassador. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a cultural difference. It was mass murder. "I'm not suggesting we do nothing," Kelly replied. "But a direct accusation, without exploring diplomatic channels first, could escalate this beyond our capacity to manage. The Council's technology is centuries beyond ours." "In some ways," Thorne interjected, "but not all. Their attack revealed gaps in their understanding of our systems. The quantum communications, for instance, they clearly didn't know about those, or they would have targeted them specifically." The debate continued, growing more heated as the days passed and more evidence emerged. Meanwhile, the KRYLL had noticed the unusual level of activity around Earth's military installations. Monitoring buoys deployed at the edge of the solar system reported increased communications and ship movements. Warlord Skarn was not concerned. "Let them posture," he told his war council. "They have no proof, and without proof, they have no recourse with the council. Even if they did, the council moves slowly. By the time any investigation could be launched, we will have secured what we need." A junior commander spoke up, mandibles clicking nervously. "The humans are behaving unpredictably. Their response patterns don't match our models." Skarn dismissed this with a wave of his clawed hand. "All primitive species show erratic behavior when stressed. It is of no consequence." But the commander persisted. "They've doubled the encryption on their communications. They're moving populations away from their space installations, and they've recalled their deep space vessels." "Preparations for defense," another council member suggested. "Or offense," the junior commander countered, earning a sharp look from Skarn. "They have no offensive capability that could threaten the Dominion," Skarn said with finality. "Continue monitoring, but proceed with the next phase as planned." The next phase, as it happened, would never come to pass, because on Earth, the balance had finally tipped. 3 weeks after the New Horizon massacre, Dr. Thorne made a breakthrough. Working with the quantum communication data, she had isolated a unique signature from the attacking ships, a specific pattern in their energy emissions that could be used to identify KRYLL vessels regardless of stealth measures. At the same time, Earth's intelligence networks had pieced together fragments of information from various sources, including the enigmatic message from Flirtnoth. They now had a clearer picture of the KRYLL Dominion, an expansionist faction within the Council, known for aggressive resource acquisition and a history of manipulating less advanced species. And most crucially, General Sharma's military analysts had identified a potential weakness. The KRYLL relied heavily on a specific subspace communication frequency, using quantum encryption they believed to be unbreakable. But a team of human cryptographers, approaching the problem from an entirely different mathematical framework, had found a vulnerability. All of this culminated in an emergency meeting of Earth's United Defense Council, a body representing all nations with space capability. The evidence was presented, the options were discussed, and finally, a decision was reached. Humanity would not wait for diplomacy to run its course. They would not submit a formal complaint to a council that might take years to act, if it acted at all. They would respond directly, decisively, and in a way the KRYLL and the entire council would never forget. Operation Righteous Fury was set in motion. The first phase was nearly invisible. A carefully engineered quantum virus uploaded to the monitoring buoys the KRYLL had placed around the solar system. From there, it spread silently through the KRYLL communications network, lying dormant, waiting for activation. The second phase was more overt. A small fleet of Earth's most advanced ships, equipped with newly developed stealth technology based on Dr. Thorne's analysis of KRYLL detection systems, departed the solar system. Their destination, a remote KRYLL outpost that intelligence suggested was the staging ground for the New Horizon. Attack. Alara Vance, meanwhile, prepared a message. Not a plea or a protest, but a declaration. It will be broadcast on all frequencies used by council members, timed to coincide precisely with the operation. The KRYLL outpost orbited a desolate moon in a system far from the main council territories. It was lightly defended, its commanders confident in their obscurity and the primitive state of human space travel. They never detected the approaching Earth vessels until it was too late. The attack was surgical. The human ships didn't target the entire facility, and they made no attempt to occupy it. Instead, they struck specific locations identified from the New Horizon data, weapons storage, command centers, and most importantly, the central database. As alarms blared throughout the facility, the dormant virus activated. KRYLL communications collapsed. Emergency systems failed. Backup power stuttered and died. And in the confusion, a team of specially trained human operatives infiltrated the heart of the outpost. They weren't there to kill. They were there to retrieve specific data cores containing evidence of KRYLL operations, including the planning and execution of the New Horizon attack. They were also there to leave something behind, a quantum beacon that would broadcast the truth to every corner of council space. The entire operation lasted less than an hour. The human ships withdrew as quickly as they had arrived, leaving the outpost damaged but largely intact. As they departed, the facility's main view screen flickered to life, displaying a human face, Alara Vance, her expression solemn but resolute. To the KRYLL Dominion and the Galactic Council, she began, her words translated into all major council languages. 3 weeks ago, KRYLL forces attacked and destroyed the human research station New Horizon, killing 365 innocent people. This was not an act of war. We had given no provocation. It was not an accident. The attack was precisely targeted. It was an atrocity committed by those who believed we were too primitive to recognize the truth and too weak to respond. Her voice remained steady, but her eyes burned with controlled fury. You were wrong. We have recovered irrefutable evidence of KRYLL responsibility, which is now being transmitted throughout council space. We have also demonstrated that despite your technological advantages, you are not beyond our reach. The attack you just experienced was restrained. We targeted only military systems and took measures to minimize casualties. We did not seek vengeance for our dead by creating more death. Instead, we sought justice through truth. To the Council at large, we demand an official acknowledgement of the KRYLL attack on New Horizon. We demand that Warlord Skarn and all who participated in this atrocity be brought to justice under Council law. We demand reparations for the lives lost and a new framework for interaction between Council members and non-member species, with clear consequences for violations. These demands are non-negotiable. Humanity extends its hand in peace, but we will not be victimized. You have crossed the line. This is our response. The message ended, replaced by detailed evidence of the KRYLL attack on New Horizon, Sensor readings, communications logs, planning documents retrieved from the outpost's own database. The same information was simultaneously broadcasting across all Council communication channels, impossible to suppress or deny. In his command chamber, Warlord Skarn watched in disbelief as the transmission ended. Around him, his subordinates stood frozen, awaiting his reaction. The humans had not only discovered the truth and tracked down the outpost, but had bypassed defenses the KRYLL had believed impenetrable. Worse, they had exposed the attack to the entire Council. Impossible, he finally hissed. Their technology is primitive. Their ships are slow. How could they? His communication officer interrupted, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. Warlord, the Council chamber is calling an emergency session. The Elder View have directly requested your presence. The Flirt Noth have already issued a statement condemning our actions, and even our traditional allies are distancing themselves. For the first time in his long, violent career, Skarn felt something akin to fear. Not of the humans. They were still insignificant despite this surprising show of capability, but of the Council united against him. The KRYLL Dominion was powerful, but could not stand alone against the combined might of all spacefaring civilizations. "Prepare my ship," he ordered, "and begin purging all records related to the human operation." His mind raced, seeking a way to twist this situation to his advantage. Perhaps he could claim the humans had fabricated the evidence, or that his subordinates had acted without authorization. But as he moved to leave the chamber, the screens around him flickered. Again, not with Alara Vance's face this time, but with images from throughout the Dominion's territory. KRYLL ships suddenly losing power. Defensive systems going offline. Encrypted databases unlocking and broadcasting their contents. The human virus had spread far beyond the outpost, infecting the entire KRYLL military network. And it was laying bare not just the New Horizon attack, but dozens of other violations of Council law committed over centuries. Manipulations of pre-spaceflight civilizations. Unauthorized resource extraction. Covert attacks disguised as natural disasters. The KRYLL Dominion's long history of deception was being exposed in a single, devastating moment. The Emergency Council session was unlike any in recent memory. Representatives from all member species gathered in the vast, circular chamber, with the accused, Warlord Skarn, and his inner circle, positioned in the center. The evidence provided by humanity played on endless loops on display screens throughout the room. Elder View, the oldest and most respected of the Council's founding species, spoke first. His voice, translated through the chamber systems, resonated with deep disappointment. "The evidence is conclusive," he said, his ancient eyes fixed on Skarn. "The KRYLL Dominion violated our most sacred principle, non-interference with developing civilizations without full Council approval. 365 sentient beings died as a result of your actions. The humans fabricated this evidence," Skarn countered, his posture defiant despite his precarious position. "They seek to divide the Council, to weaken us before launching their own expansion." Flirt Noth, their form shimmering with the bioluminescence that indicated intense emotion, moved forward. "The evidence comes from your own system, Skarn. The encryption signatures are authentic, and this is far from the first time the Dominion has acted against Council wishes." The debate raged for hours. Some members, traditionally aligned with the KRYLL or fearful of human potential, argued for leniency or a more thorough investigation. Others, particularly those who had suffered from KRYLL aggression in the past, demanded immediate and severe sanctions. But all were shaken by the humans' response. The precision of the attack, the sophistication of the virus, the restraint shown, these were not the actions of a primitive species lashing out in blind rage. This was calculated, deliberate, and effective beyond anything the Council had anticipated from Earth. As the session continued, a message arrived from humanity. Not a threat or an ultimatum, but a request, permission for a human delegation to address the Council directly. After brief but intense deliberation, permission was granted. The delegation was small, Alara Vance, as the diplomatic representative, Dr. Thorne to present the technical evidence, and General Sharma to address security concerns. They entered the council chamber with dignity, neither intimidated by the alien assembly nor displaying arrogance. Alara spoke first, her voice clear and unwavering. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, we come before you not seeking war, but justice. What happened at New Horizon was a tragedy that could have been prevented. It revealed not just the KRYLL Dominion's disregard for life, but a fundamental flaw in how the Council interacts with non-member civilizations. She gestured to Dr. Thorne, who stepped forward with a holographic display showing detailed analyses of the attack. The doctor's explanation was precise, technical, and damning, tracking the energy signatures of the weapons used back to specific KRYLL vessels, correlating them with communication patterns, and demonstrating beyond doubt that this was a planned, sanctioned operation. General Sharma then addressed the security implications. We do not seek conflict with the Council or any of its members, she stated firmly. But we have demonstrated that we can and will defend ourselves when attacked. The restraint we showed at the KRYLL outpost was deliberate. We could have destroyed it entirely. We chose not to because our quarrel is not with all KRYLL, but with those responsible for this act. Elder View's sensory appendages quivered with interest. You speak of restraint, yet your response was unprecedented in its boldness. Many among us see this as a disproportionate reaction from a species that has barely achieved interstellar travel. With respect, Elder Alara responded, proportionality must be measured against intent, not just capability. The KRYLL attacked with the intent to kill hundreds and conceal their responsibility. We responded with the intent to expose truth and demonstrate that such actions have consequences while minimizing loss of life. The Council deliberated for 3 full cycles after the human delegation departed. The debate was heated, with factions forming and dissolving as different aspects of the situation were considered. The KRYLL representatives argued desperately, threatening to withdraw from the Council entirely if sanctioned. But in the end, the evidence was too overwhelming to ignore. The Council issued its ruling. The KRYLL attack on New Horizon was officially condemned as a violation of Council law. Warlord Skarn and 5 senior commanders were stripped of their positions and sentenced to confinement on a neutral world. The KRYLL Dominion was placed under probationary status within the Council, its military activities to be monitored for a period equivalent to 50 Earth years. Most significantly for humanity, the Council established a new protocol for interaction with non-member civilizations, setting clear guidelines and consequences for violations. And Earth was granted a unique status, not full membership, which humanity had not sought, but recognition as a sovereign power with the right to representation in matters concerning human interests. The negotiations that followed were tense and complex. Alara Vance led the human diplomatic team, working tirelessly to secure terms that would protect Earth while allowing for controlled, mutually beneficial engagement with Council civilizations. Reparations for New Horizon were agreed upon. Technological exchanges focused on medical and environmental applications, assistance with cleanup of the contaminated area around the station's remains, and a memorial constructed according to human designs, but using materials from all Council species as a symbol of reconciliation. After months of negotiation, the final agreements were signed. A new era had begun, not one of trust and friendship, perhaps, but of wary respect and cautious cooperation. On Earth, the 3 individuals most central to the crisis gathered on a quiet evening to reflect on what had been achieved. I still can't believe we pulled it off, Dr. Thorne said, watching the sunset from the balcony of General Sharma's mountain retreat. If any part of the plan had failed, if the virus hadn't spread, or if the Council had chosen to support the KRYLL, then we would have been in a very different situation, Sharma acknowledged, her usual military bearing softened by the informal setting. But we planned for those contingencies, too. Alara sipped her drink thoughtfully. What troubles me is how quickly some Council members wanted to dismiss the whole thing. if we hadn't been able to provide such overwhelming evidence. That's politics, Sharma said with a shrug. Interspecies or human, doesn't matter. Nobody wants to rock the boat. The important thing, Thorne added, is that we've established boundaries. They know now that we can't be attacked with impunity. But at what cost? Alara questioned. Yes, we have recognition and some protections, but I've seen how many of them look at us now. Not with respect, with fear. They're wondering what else we're capable of, what other surprises we might have. Sharma gazed out at the darkening sky. Good. Fear could be a more effective deterrent than admiration. They should be cautious about crossing us again. It's a precarious balance, Thorne observed. Too weak, and we invite aggression. Too threatening, and we provoke preemptive action. Which is why we need to keep building, Sharma replied. Our defenses, our technology, our understanding of the Council and its members. We bought ourselves time and recognition, but that's all. As night fell and stars became visible, Alara found herself searching the sky, wondering which distant points of light hosted Council worlds. The universe had become simultaneously larger and smaller, filled with new possibilities and new dangers. They'll be watching us closely now, she said quietly. Every move we make, every advancement, every decision, trying to determine if we're a potential threat or a potential ally. Then let's give them something worth watching, Thorne suggested. Not just military strength, but scientific achievement, cultural exchange, diplomatic innovation. Sharma nodded slowly. A demonstration that humanity's rage, when provoked, is temporary, but our determination is constant. The three women stood in silence as more stars appeared above them. The New Horizon incident had changed everything, revealing both the darkest threats and the brightest opportunities that awaited humanity among the stars. The path forward would not be easy, but it was clearer than before. Earth would not isolate itself in fear, nor would it rush headlong into a galaxy filled with ancient powers and complex politics. Instead, it would advance carefully, respectfully, but with unwavering resolve. And if threatened again, the response would be just as swift and just as decisive. Because if the Galactic Council had learned one thing from this encounter, it was this. When pushed beyond endurance, humanity's rage was a force that could shake the stars themselves. A line had been crossed, and the universe would never be the same.